These eclairs have a choux pastry casing surrounding a delicious espresso coffee flavor filling with a caramel glaze on top. The choux pastry, which is the outer part of the eclair and also used in cream puffs, which you've seen, I'm sure, that can be traced all the way back to 1540 when Catherine de' Medici was Queen of France. She was known to be the Serpent Queen because she had a way with politics that was ruthless. And she also introduced the meal fork to France. Her chef Pastrelli invented the very first recipe, and of course he named it after himself. Our version was developed in the 18th century by Marie Antoinette's royal chefs. Good thing they had their heads about them. Choux in French means cabbage. I kind of think it looks a little bit more like cauliflower. It relies on the water in the oven to make its rise and expand. So preheat your oven to 425 and put on your Whipple. Now the choux pastry is exactly what we're going to start with. You take half a cup of butter, and it doesn't need to be at room temperature because we're going to melt that with half a cup of milk and half a cup of water and a pinch of kosher salt. Melt those together, and don't forget about the 2 tablespoons of sugar. If you're making a savory choux, leave out the sugar. Now here comes the tricky part. You just take 1 cup of flour. It all comes together really quickly. Keep stirring, stir, 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 stir. And once it comes together, stir for 1 minute longer. This is going to dehydrate the dough. And then pour it into your mixer bowl and let it cool for 10 minutes. I like to give it a little beating every once in a while just to help it cool down some. So on low speed, you're going to take 4 eggs one at a time and fully incorporate before you add the next. You leave it on low speed so the egg doesn't have a chance to cook in case it's still a little too warm somewhere. And I like to scrape down the bowl just to get everything on the bottom fully mixed in. Now, some chefs will stop at 3 eggs, but I found in my kitchen and my method of cooking, 4 eggs always brings the right consistency. All right, and see how it's just fallen off the beater? That's what you want. That's the right consistency. You want to use a star tip for your eclairs. The ridges are going to help it keep its shape. Now, the common length for an eclair is 4 to 5 inches long, but there's really no standard in baking. That's how come I love baking so much. It's the creativity. You can do any shape you want. Matter of fact, we wouldn't have the Paris breast if it wasn't for a chef's creativity. Watch that video next. So that final bit in the bag, we're gonna make some cream puffs and brush them with an egg wash, which is 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of water whisked together. And then bake at 425 for 15 minutes and then turn down the oven to 350 and bake for 35 to 45 minutes longer. Then poke holes in the bottom to let out all the steam. And while they're baking, we can do the crème patisserie. It is so easy, and you can use it as a filling for many, many, many things. You just take 4 egg yolks and save those egg whites to make mini pavlovas. Watch that video next. Or you can even make meringue kisses with fun flavors. Made a video on that too. And to your favorite saucepan, take 2 cups of milk, 3 teaspoons of espresso powder. You can substitute it with instant coffee too. And heat this until it comes to 160 degrees, which is what most recipes call steaming. And while you're waiting for it to heat up, take your 4 egg yolks and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, half a cup of sugar, and half a teaspoon of kosher salt. And whisk them together till they're lemon yellow color, and that's about 5 to 7 minutes. That looks great. All right, and when it reaches that 160 degree magic number, you're gonna take it and pour it in little by little into your egg yolk mixture. This is called tempering. When you gradually bring up the temperature of your egg yolks without making scrambled eggs. And then we're going to pour it back into the pan. Keep that liquid moving. You don't want it to scald the bottom of the pan or in the corners. And I switched to a spatula to get into those corners. When it coats the back of a spoon, you actually want to keep on going for 1 to 2 minutes longer. That's going to get out any cornstarch taste and ensure that it is precisely thick enough to pipe into our eclairs. So when you go to bite into them, it doesn't like ooze all over the place. Nobody likes a runny cream patisserie. And then take it and pass it through a fine mesh sieve. This is going to help in case we got any scrambled eggs and make for a nice, smooth, silkier texture. And don't forget the bottom. Now put cling wrap on top, and that's going to prevent a skin from forming. And this is where my meltless ice cubes come in handy. That makes the whole cool down process a lot faster. Now for the caramel glaze, you could probably get away with using half as much as I'm making here, but I hate to get to the last eclair and I had to skimp on the glaze. So you take 1 cup of unsalted butter, a 1/4 cup of milk, 1 cup of light brown sugar, pack that in there, a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, and you heat this all together until it's combined and all the sugar crystals are melted together and you don't see anything. And pour it into a heat-proof bowl, and once again, my meltless ice cubes come in handy. And while we're waiting for everything to cool down, let me show you what the inside of one of these looks like. See, it's all hollowed out. Now put your cream patisserie in a piping bag, and I have a filling tip that's just for filling cream pat. Oh, I can feel it go in right now. And just pipe it right on in. If you don't have the special tip, you can use a number 7 or a number 6. They'll work. And I'm using the holes that I use to let out the steam. Put on some of that wonderful, delicious caramel glaze. It's a regular Caramel-macchiato. I hope you had fun today. If you did, give it a like, thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to boop that bell.